I didn't believe it at first. I didn't believe it at first, but you know, it's going down. It's ooh, if I'm Bud Crawford, I'm so upset right now. I'm not even Bud Crawford. I'm just like, dang, that's just whoo. That has to hurt. That has to hurt, you know. But at the end of the day, it's still a great fight. Errol Spence. Pacquiao is a tough.
Wow. Tim Bradley confirms that Terence Crawford has every reason to be upset with the announcement of Errol Big Fish Spence Jr. versus Manny Pacquiao. We're going to talk about that in this video. Stay tuned. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego in the back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also subscribe to my channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. Before I get started, make sure you guys click the link in the description box of all of my videos to sign up for TUBEBUDDY. TUBEBUDDY is an awesome browser extension to help you take your YouTube channel to the next level. Now, I've been using TUBEBUDDY myself for years. I started off with 0 subscribers. Now we're over 200,000 and counting. TUBEBUDDY can absolutely help you too by optimizing your video for discoverability, so they get found in search, metadata, bulk processing, and these types of things, ultimately making you more money on the platform. Why are you on YouTube if you don't want your content seen or discovered? Makes no sense to me. Consider TUBEBUDDY. Click the link in the description. Now, we got 2 pieces of huge news this week. For starters, Wilder, he won his arbitration case. As you guys see here, it says arbitrator has ruled in favor of Deontay Wilder. Tyson Fury must fight Wilder a 3rd time before September 15th, per the arbitrator's ruling. And if that wasn't enough, you know, you see Deontay Wilder working and whatnot. If that wasn't enough, Fox also announced this fight. He's going to fight me. Manny Pacquiao from General Santos and DeSoto, Texas's own. Manny Pacquiao versus Errol Spence for the Unified World Welterweight Championship. You guys see it right there. Fight announcement, PBC on Fox verified page. Manny Pacquiao, Unified Welterweight Champ, Errol Spence Jr. set to fight August 21st in Las Vegas. Get your popcorn. Now, PBC is killing right now. I think that goes without saying. They're definitely doing a bang-up job. As far as this particular fight, the thing that I personally love, which I've mentioned before, is the mere fact that this fight was kept under wraps. There wasn't a bunch of preamble and talk like Eddie Hearn, Frank Warren, Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, and Bob Arum did regarding Joshua Fury, a fight that is not happening. They talked about it for months, and again, the fight is not happening. So it was, you know, playing with the fans' emotion, toying with the fans, an emotional roller coaster for fans who believed it. Not me, of course, because I told you guys on my channel that I didn't, you know, seeing is believing, and I didn't think that fight would be next because Wilder is owed to fight, and this is a contract. Just because Fury wants to act erratic doesn't mean he could just get out of his obligation, you know? And I love how they did it with the Pacquiao fight. The thing that's really a part sad to me is you get real announcements on my channel from credible sources, and especially during this pandemic with all the other shenanigans in boxing, when I do a video like I've always done for several years at this point, giving an announcement with credible sources, cite my sources, all kinds of things like that, you still have people who are questioning the legitimacy of it because they're so used to being lied to. I made a video, you know, It went viral, saying Manny Pacquiao was fighting Errol Spence, right? He posted this August 21st, Las Vegas, Nevada, and people still question it. But, you know, at this point, I don't think people are doubting it. Errol Spence also confirmed it and said, blame Bob. Done deal. See y'all in Vegas for the biggest fight of the year. Hashtag man down. Hashtag Spence Pacquiao. Hashtag strap season. Hashtag big fish. Hashtag blame Bob. So that's obviously a shot at Terence Crawford and Bob Arum, who have told people they were going to make the Pacquiao-Crawford fight at least for 7-8 years, and it hasn't happened. Now, you heard the clip at the beginning. Timothy Bradley, he admits and reveals that if he was Terence Crawford, you heard him. He said, woo, I'll be upset. That has to hurt. He said, I'm not even Terence Crawford, but the news of this fight breaking, Errol Spence and Manny Pacquiao, that has to hurt. I would be fuming, you know, I would be really upset. But this is a great fight, you know, great fight for Errol Spence and Manny Pacquiao. Now, Tim Bradley himself has fought Pacquiao 3 times, so he knows firsthand just how good Manny Pacquiao is, and he knows everything about it. He's fought him 3 times, so he knows exactly how big the events are, what type of fans turn out. And Errol Spence, he's the man of the hour in the current welterweight division. So this is just a big fight. And I don't always agree with Tim Bradley in his commentary, but I agree with what he said regarding Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford absolutely has to be fuming. I haven't heard Terence Crawford make any response or respond or retweet or any comments about it, but I would imagine he is probably livid that his team hasn't been able to get the big fights for him, including Manny Pacquiao. And I did a video about this. You guys can check that on the channel. Just type Terence Crawford, Manny Pacquiao, Boxingego. This has been an ongoing thing, right? This has been an ongoing thing. Pacquiao's team have used, Crawford's team have used the Pacquiao name and brand and suggested, look, here's a video I did. Bad news, Terence Crawford, Manny Pacquiao. Not gonna happen, etc. But this is they've used the name for quite some time, where they acted like Crawford was close to fighting Manny Pacquiao. Me personally, I don't really believe it, you know. And look, DAZN had a video that says Pacquiao's last fight, Terence Crawford. We now know that's not. His last fight could very well be Errol Spence, depending on the outcome. If Errol Spence is able to beat him or stop him impressively, this very well could be the last fight. And it's funny because you see old media, when Crawford his name was attached to Manny Pacquiao and he was linked to possibly getting the fight, you've seen stuff like this, Pacquiao's last fight, and everybody was on board. Now that this doesn't fit the anti-PBC agenda for old media, people are trying to act like this is somehow a bad fight for Errol Spence because Pacquiao lost his belt due to inactivity, or because he's 42 years old, or because he's too small, or because he hasn't fought since the Keith Thurman fight in 2019. Now there's a bunch of excuses, but when it came to Crawford, it seemed like everybody was just on board for the fight. People just said it's a good fight. But again, it doesn't fit the anti-PBC agenda for old media, so they're not going to give credit where credit is due. Me, I'm giving a lot of credit to Errol Spence. He said he's big fish. He said his man down. He's been asking for the fight. I was actually at his fight with Mikey Garcia when he defeated Mikey Garcia, dominant fashion. I was ringside for that fight, and Pacquiao got in the ring and everything, congratulated him, and the names have been synonymous even before that. And then as far as Pacquiao, I'm going to give him a lot of props because since he left Top Rank, he seemingly like got it on and popping, and he's fighting big fight after big fight. Since he left Top Rank, he fought Matisse as a free agent, then he signed with Al Heyman, and he ended up getting Broner, Keith Thurman, and now Errol Spence Jr. Marquee fights, great fights for his legacy, fights that show he's fearless, etc. Meanwhile, Crawford, his name, Bomac did an interview and said, hey, we're going to get Pacquiao and things like that, but it just never seemed to manifest. Errol Spence said nothing, said less, and this is the end result. His team got it done. So, no matter what people say, the proof is in the pudding. I'm very curious to see what's next for Terence Crawford, now that we know for a fact it's not Manny Pacquiao. Sean Porter and Kenny Porter recently did interviews, and they said they're moving on because they went into Bob Arum's office, at least Kenny Porter, and he said he asked for the fight. He told Bob Arum straight up what they were looking for. They wanted a fight with Crawford, and he said there was no traction gain, and Bob Arum told him that he is not prepared to make an offer. So I don't know what they're doing for Crawford's career. Phenomenal talent, great fighter, but at this point, he's being passed up because he can't get the bigger fights. Like, some people have put Canelo as the #1 pound for pound person, and Canelo, based on who he is and getting whatever fight he needs for his legacy, it's hard to argue that. Some people have Errol Spence #1. He's doing heavy lifting. He's fighting Danny Garcia. He's about to fight Pacquiao. He fought Sean Porter in a unification. He fought undefeated Mikey Garcia. But Crawford, he stayed loyal. He was the man at 140. You see all the belts and stuff like that, but he just has not been able to duplicate the same type of success at 147. He became a champion his very, very first fight in the new weight class, and it hasn't really went up from there. He hasn't had the big marquee names, or when he got bigger names like Kell Brook and Amir Khan, people thought they had kind of been past it or were washed up or done at that particular point. So they can't put him on pay-per-view. The big fights like Sean Porter and fights with Pacquiao fall through. I don't think he's ever was in line to get an Errol Spence. He said he wanted half and half, 50-50. It's just going to be hard. It's going to be hard, exceptionally hard, because Errol Spence, he's doing what he said he was going to do. He's fighting the best. He's putting on the biggest events. He just said it's the biggest event this year. Hard to argue that. And Pacquiao's a Hall of Famer, belt or no belt, long layoff or no long layoff. It's still Pacquiao. And again, if this was good enough for Terence Crawford to fight, then it's good enough for Errol Spence to fight. They're both champions. So bad news for Terence Crawford. Even his sparring part, the guy who kind of put him on from sparring, Tim Bradley, admits that, and he's with Top Rank, and he does the commentary, he's with ESPN, and he admits that this is pretty much a detrimental blow for Terence Crawford, and Crawford has every reason to be upset. His team was not able to get Pacquiao, meanwhile Errol's was. That's like you asking a girl to go to prom and she says no, and then you have a nemesis or op or enemy at that school and she ends up going to prom with him. You know what I mean? Everybody wants that Pacquiao sweepstakes. Errol, he branded himself in the right way. And again, the thing that makes him look brilliant is Manny Pacquiao didn't spill the beans. Errol Spence didn't spill the beans. They just made it do what it do, as opposed to Crawford's team, just like the Joshua Fury fight, another Top Rank and Eddie Hearn, brainchild. It was a bunch of talk that didn't materialize, just like Terence Crawford and Pacquiao, a bunch of talk, but it didn't materialize into a fight. Spence nor Pacquiao did much talking, and the fight was just announced. Beautiful business. So I agree with Tim Bradley here. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Let me know how I did in this video. Use my link for TUBEBUDDY. We working. Are you tired of your YouTube videos not getting any views? Well, consider TUBEBUDDY. I've used TUBEBUDDY for years to scale up my YouTube channel. Now we're sitting over 200,000 subscribers. TUBEBUDDY is a browser extension that offers a ton of built-in productivity and time-saving services to take your channel to the next level. Use my link in the description to get started with TUBEBUDDY and level up your channel faster. We working.